Why don't we start with the Eucharistic miracle, shall we? I think so. Tixtla Mexico, 2006. So this is a decade more recent than my favorite one, which is Buenos Aires, Argentina, that we did last night. In Tixtla Mexico, people were on a spiritual retreat, and during communion, one of the women noticed, she was distributing communion, noticed that the host was bleeding. So she takes it over to the priest. Several people witnessed this scenario, and they called in Dr. Professor Castanon Gomez, who was involved 10 years ago with the Eucharistic miracle in Argentina, to come up and carry on an investigation on this bleeding Blessed Sacrament as well. They studied this from 2009. Note that they waited 6 years before beginning study, just to wait it out and not to jump to conclusions too early, I suppose. They start investigations from 2009 to 2012, and the investigations, scientific and medical investigations, confirm the following. First of all, it's human blood with hemoglobin present. The bleeding from the host is coming from within, okay? What the type AB blood, which matches the Shroud of Turin, and also matches our Eucharistic miracle from Buenos Aires, Argentina, the previous one we talked about last night, so type AB blood. And this is interesting. The host was actually bleeding, okay? On the outside of the host, it coagulated, it scabbed over, okay? But on the inside, it was still fresh blood. It was still liquid blood. It hadn't scabbed up. As of 2010, the interior of this wound, if you will, on the Blessed Sacrament, this bleeding host, was still fresh blood. Fascinating, I think. Again, intact white blood cells and red blood cells. And we talked about last night, what's the significance of the white blood cells? You guys are good. You remember, right? After somebody dies, white blood cells disintegrate within 15 minutes of death. So having intact white blood cells meant that this host is alive. You still have fresh blood inside, okay? Interesting stuff. The tissue, okay, because there was a fleshy tissue on the host as well. So imagine the host still having the accidents of breadness around the outside, but turning to flesh and also bleeding on another part of the host. So the whole thing had not changed into visible flesh and bleeding. It was just parts of it, okay? It's just fascinating. The tissue, the fleshy tissue, appeared to be lacerated and was consistent with recovery mechanisms of a live wound. So the host was alive, okay? You got fresh blood. It is trying to heal itself. It's scabbing up like living tissue. Amazing stuff. And they identified the tissue as being heart tissue, which again harkens back to that Buenos Aires one from 1996 that we talked about last night. That was heart tissue from the left ventricle. And what was the significance of the left ventricle again? It's the chamber that compresses to deliver blood to the whole body and give life to the whole body. So really beautiful connections between these very modern, scientifically tested Eucharistic miracles and what we know about our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, beautiful stuff.